This is the Super Chunky Infinity Scarf. It is actually quite similar to a previous project. It was called the Infinity Stripy Scarf. In this case, we are using Super Chunky Merino Wool. The previous picture we have olive green, and in this we have mink. We are going to need a much larger crochet hook size. I recommend either 10mm or 12mm crochet hook. If you're making one for an adult and if you want it to be a tight weave, I recommend a 10mm crochet hook and start with 50 chains. If you want your scarf to be a little bit on the fluffier side, I recommend a 12mm crochet hook and start with 45 chains. Whether or not you're going to be starting with any of these sizes, I would recommend a much larger crochet hook size for the beginning of your project. So in this case, in this video, I'm using 12mm to start with, as you can see here, and then I switch on over to a 10mm crochet hook size. And after this, you're going to follow the half double crochet pattern, and I'm speaking in US crochet terms, of course. You're going to do this all throughout the row, and then after this, after you do half double crochet for every stitch around, you're going to join with the first stitch of the row with the last stitch of the row with a slip stitch. And then chain 2, and then do the same half double crochet stitch. But of course, if you follow the previous video, you know you need to work your half double crochet stitches on the third loop, which is essentially the backmost loop of your half double crochet stitch. And this gives us our nice knit-like texture to our piece. So work a half double crochet stitch for every stitch, making sure you're working each into the third loop, also known as the back loop of your half double crochet stitch. Do this around, and then you finish the row off by another slip stitch. You connect the first stitch of the row with the last stitch of the row with a slip stitch. You repeat this row all throughout, approximately maybe 8 rows of half double crochet, and the last row, as we can see here, we're ending it with a slip stitch. The last row actually is a single crochet stitch into the back or the third loop of your half double crochet of the previous row. So single stitches across this row. And then we close this last row of single crochet stitches with a slip stitch between the last and the first stitches of this row. So after this, fasten off. You need to secure that, and then you weave in the ends like so. Make sure that you hide any loose ends. There's probably going to be about 2, one in the start and one in the end of your piece. I just use a smaller crochet hook. And here is your Super Chunky Infinity Scarf. See you in the next video.